Come on in, guys. Come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. Welcome, 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 welcome. Oh my gosh, what a great, wow. A lot of people. Rebecca, Jackie, Lorraine, Buddy. We've got Denise, Aaron, Caroline. Come on in, guys. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Welcome, 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 welcome. Happy Tuesday. We've got a live one tonight, guys. I'm so excited you're here. My name is Jeff Howard. And obviously, I'm not Sara Kooperman. She had something very important to do tonight, so she called me and asked me if I would fill in with her. And when I found out who was going to be on the panel, I said, I will do this without any question asked. So I'm glad you guys are here with us. I've spoken to the panel a little bit before, and they've got a lot of knowledge, so I'm excited about tonight. But before we start, I kind of want to go over Zoom with you one more time. Don't forget, we have our mute button. You've all been muted right now just because if it was all on, we would get a little crazy with our voices. Chris, you are muted. We need you to unmute. We've got, of course, stop video. A lot of your videos are turned off just because, I don't know why, that's what they like to do at SCW. We have participants. We have about 60 people signed up to be here today. No, 120, I'm wrong, 120. But this is being recorded, so it'll be available to you, of course, 24/7. But what I care about most is the chat button. If everybody could open up that chat button and say hello and tell me where you're from, that's a great way to start tonight. Great way to start tonight. Good, good, good. And great, Fort Myers. We've got Florida, Sherwood Oaks, Singer Island, great, great. Connecticut, Nashville. And during the night, if you hear something that you would like to ask a question about or someone you would like to direct a question to, please feel free to put it into the chat box. And if I don't get to it, hopefully one of my panelists will get to it for you as well. And I'm also gonna have my panelists put in how you can get a hold of them. If you guys would like to do that now as well. And I'm going to do an introduction and let everybody know who you are, but go ahead and put in how they can get a hold of you, everybody, on my panel. So if they want to get a hold of you. And tonight is really about outdoor training and how to go about it if you haven't done it yet, and how to kind of do the safe way about it and dig in kind of deep with it. I'm going to go first of all with telling you who everybody is. First of all, excuse this, I'm going to read it because this is what they want me to do. We have Amy Mack, and she's the National Director of Recruiting for Camp Gladiator and franchise owner in the Dallas, Texas area with over 18 years of experience in the industry and 13 years with Camp Gladiator. Amy has experience in coaching and teaching one-on-one to large groups. Next, we have Chris Stevenson. He has a degree in business administrative and management and the owner to be Military Fit Los Angeles. Sorry, I butchered that. Is the owner of Be Military Fit Los Angeles and the founder of Empower Group, a full-service consulting firm. Chris has over 20 years of experience in the health and fitness industry and is an international speaker who regularly presents at IRSA, Athletic Business, SCW Mania, and of course IDEA. And of course, last but definitely not least, we have our beautiful Doris Thews, who is a 35-plus year fitness industry veteran with international award-winning fitness educator, including 2019 World IDEA Fitness Instructor of the Year. She's the Senior Master Trainer and Global Mentor for Schwinn and is on the International Development Master Training Team for BOSU, Hedstrom Fitness, as well as RYKA Fit-Pro Ambassador. In addition to presenting and lecturing internationally, she is also a keynote speaker, well known for her motivational and athletic coaching style. I'm Jeff Howard. That's all I got for you. I've been in the business a long time, but this is more really about my panel because they are going to hopefully answer any questions we have regarding outdoor fitness and all that good stuff. So let's kind of dive right in, guys. Outdoor fitness. First thing I need you to know, what are some of the largest benefits you find with clients when working outside? Doris, you want to hit it?
No overhead. Ding, 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 ding. I have been training for years as a personal trainer outside of brick and mortar. Even though I've been a senior vice president and overseeing PT in 2 major boxes, I've never trained in a box because I knew that what I was doing and the service I was providing, that I wanted all my percentage. And so outdoor training, I'm going to get a good, I'm going to make a good amount of money. So that's the biggest advantage.
Awesome. What about you, Chris?
I think real quick to define outdoor fitness, there's several different models and ways to go about it. We've seen clubs add an outdoor sort of annex, right? So it's just an additional place to their brick and mortar. We see pop-ups, we see special events, we see standalone outdoor solutions like Camp Gladiator, like the Be Military Fit brand that we're working with right now. So, just to define it, there are many ways to go about. So depending where you're at in your fitness career, it could be any of those different models. Doris is absolutely right. You lower your overhead and you have a chance to make more money. And just kind of anecdotally, what we found with this new brand and spending some time outdoors is you don't get as many high maintenance people. When you're in the brick and mortars, you get the complainers. Somebody inside a brick and mortar will complain a 2-degree temperature difference. Outdoors, they've got a threshold like 40 degrees, right? So you just get people, if they're willing to go outside and get a little sweat and deal with a little bit of rain and some grass and get on the ground, they just tend not to be as high maintenance. So it's kind of nice to not have that headache.
I love it. Amy, what do you find the benefits?
I found the benefits is vitamin D. We spend so much time indoors as a society. We are on computers. We've got this glow. I've got these glasses now that I'm supposed to wear to like block blue light. And it's just crazy because we spend so much time indoors. And so we want people to get outside, feel youthful again, and remind them of what it's like to play outside. And people are sitting in cubicles or driving 8 to 10 hours a day, or with COVID sitting in their houses. And so we just want to encourage people to get out and enjoy the fresh sunshine, the oxygen levels, and of course, getting out in your local community to meet new people. When in a day and age today, we are so connected by technology, we want to remind people that face-to-face interaction in an outdoor setting is just such a positive move in your life. And we encourage everyone to do it, whether it's with a workout or just a simple walk around your neighborhood.
And what was interesting to me when I spoke to everybody prior, I never taught outside until COVID hit, and then I laterally had to go outside. But my panelists all have been teaching outside for a long time. Doris, Chris, I'll get right back with you, but Doris, go ahead. Like, how long have you been tell them first where you live, and then, kind of that thing. Yeah.
Muted.
The Dodger game is going on, okay? So California, I know, Chris, my husband's like, I'm like, turn it down. And if you hear him go crazy because the Dodgers are in the lead. But I live in Laguna Beach, California, and so personal training has always been outside for me. I've always gone to people's houses, garages. I've taken them to the beach. I've taken them to the high school track. I've done stadiums. I've done stairs. I've done curbs. I've done benches. Like, I can do a workout anywhere, anytime. And when they go on vacation, no excuses. Here's a jump rope. Here's some bands. We do it here anyway. So that's PT. What I've done in large groups is I've overseen run clubs. I was the head coach for the Orange Pediatric Cancer Research Foundation. And what's beautiful about that is you do have, someone talked about permits costing. That's when you actually have a fundraising group come in, and they do pay for the permits and the security and the marketing pieces of it. But the biggest groups I've done is I've led run clubs to raise money. And the only time I really taught outside prior to COVID are big special events to raise money. But I'm more PT outside or do run clubs outside. Teaching outside with group fitness classes really didn't hit till COVID because it had to.
Chris?
Oh.
Go ahead, Amy. Ladies first.
Well, I was going to say, I'm going to go back 20 years because that's how long I have been training outdoors. I'm in Dallas, Texas, so the weather definitely alludes itself to being an outdoor training environment. But as a collegiate track and field athlete and then a high school track and field coach, I lived on a track. I lived outdoors. And so with my kids that I was training, their parents would come by and say, hey, wow, you're training. What else do you do? And I'd say, hey, come up to the track on a Sunday afternoon. I'll take you guys through a workout. So mine started as training parents of my athletes on Sunday afternoons, all outdoors. When I retired from coaching and teaching after 5 years, realizing I didn't make enough money for the amount of hours that I put in, I did what anybody should do, go into fitness for the money. Wink, wink, I'm just kidding. I actually am one of the co-founders of Camp Gladiator. Drink, I'm just kidding. That was a joke that the panelist had earlier. So I've been training outdoors with Camp Gladiator for 13 years. I was a box trainer. I did inbox. I was at a CrossFit facility. I was doing all of those things in between. And my clients, when it was beautiful outside, I would say, let's go train outside. So when I partnered with Allie Davidson to start Camp Gladiator, we decided we are going to go all outdoors, rain, sleet, snow, or shine. And oh, there they go. We had a little joke earlier, guys, that every time I said the word Camp Gladiator, there it was, that they were going to take a drink of their water. So we're all going to be extra hydrated by the end of this panel. But we started training outdoors, and our group was 20 to 60 people. And I think I've gone indoors, meaning I've partnered with a local church and utilized their gymnasium, honestly, in 13 years, maybe 30 times. And that was it. And so we are out there. We really have a culture of being outdoors no matter what. Now, obviously, lightning, tornado, kind of all the crazy stuff, we're going to go indoors or we're going to go undercover. But for the most part, it's been around for a while, and we've learned how to organize it and put it together with a brand. And so that's what makes us a little bit different. Also, can I make a comment? I do online training, people. I train a virtual class. And here's what I say about people with their cameras off. I assume if your camera is off, that you're eating bonbons, reading Us magazine, catching up on the latest episode of Mario Lopez on Inside Edition. That's what I imagine you're doing behind your camera. I also imagine that you might be laying on the couch eating frozen grapes. So whichever one of those you're doing, it's great. But I like to see people's faces. So if you want to just turn that camera on, I don't mind.
Sara likes it because of the recording, Amy, for the
darn. Denise, turn it back
so
off.
Now they're all coming on. So
no, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry. I love to see people's faces. Okay.
No worries. Chris, what did you want to add? Sorry.
Well, first of all, if my camera goes off, it's because I have to go to the bathroom because of our deal with drinking every time Amy says Camp Gladiator. So that would be that. So I'm newer to the outdoor space. I owned and operated brick and mortars for years. And through the Empower Group and some of the consulting and brands we've worked with, now currently working with this British brand, Be Military Fit with Bear Grylls, we're helping bring that brand to the US. They don't have any presence in the US. So we're going through the process of working out all of the bugs. So just being on this panel is great for me to learn a lot of stuff about training outdoors. But one thing that I think is very interesting is after spending some time outdoors with the class planning and the different things that we're putting together, it's got to be an outdoor experience, right? What it can't be is a group exercise class taught in the same square format in the grass. You can do that inside, it's no different. But as we create different programs and the structure and everything, what I found is we're utilizing the outdoors to its fullest. So, utilizing rocks and running up hills and finding trails and trees, and even if you're wrapping a band around a tree. So I think creating an outdoor experience to where you almost say, the person who attends, I can't get this inside. I literally can't do this same thing inside. So for those of you contemplating doing the outdoor solution, which I recommend that you do because it's a fantastic opportunity, just understand you want to create an experience. It's not we're outdoors. And what Doris said earlier about being increasing your revenue because that's lower overhead, that's awesome and a great business decision, but it doesn't mean do the same things you do indoors, outdoors. It means create an outdoor experience that you can't repeat indoors. I think that's one of the keys to being successful.
I love that. And it's funny, when I took people outside, and I'm sure my panel can agree with this, and my people that are even watching, I was amazed by adults don't play outside anymore. And they would, when you had them doing ab exercises and they looked up and they saw the sky, I was shocked that they hadn't done that forever. And when was the last time you laid under a tree and you looked up as you did as a child? And there was something very charming about that, but also very rooting about that, which I think we need to remember that as well, kind of. But now that we've kind of said the benefits, and this kind of opens up a huge thing, what are the challenges of working with clients outside? And let's start off with locations and how do you do it in the right way? How do you go up to a place and ask them, can I use this place? And are there park things and all that good stuff? Amy?
Yes, so I experience this on a daily basis. There's so many different locations that you can utilize as outdoors. And we start with the obvious, the park system. Yes, there is a permitting system in the majority of parks outdoors. I always say start online, check out the website. So I'll use Dallas Parks and Recs, for example. That's where I am. And you just go to the City of Dallas website, you find the Parks Department, and then you go find out. And typically it's a field reservation, a green space reservation, or a pavilion reservation. Most outdoor parks, especially the larger ones, are now even getting into where they will rent fitness zones. And so you might not be able to rent a softball field or a soccer field because those are being utilized by rec sports. So what you end up looking for is just green space in general. 9 times out of 10, it is a revenue split. I know in the city of Dallas, it's a 10% revenue split. So it is up to my accounting department, which I don't handle, my accounting department does. They will report to the city of Dallas how many registered clients I have on my roster, and they cut a check to the city of Dallas on my behalf. If I were a solo trainer, then I would be doing that in between the city parks. A lot of small town parks, if you're from maybe a suburban area outside of a major metropolitan area, walk in and become best friends with that park director, and you can get that park for free. I can't tell you how many parks we use because of a handshake and a smile and a good old relationship built, especially if you and your clients once a year go out and do a beautification of the parks program. Maybe you spend a Saturday, you pick up trash, you rake up leaves, you're helping give back to the city in a charitable event in exchange for using that park 2 to 3 days a week. That's one idea. I'm going to flip over from parks really quickly unless Chris or Doris have anything to add. Retail spaces. You can walk into a parking lot. We use grocery store parking lots because they're clean, because they always get picked up after, because they're usually very Central Markets and Whole Foods, and you're kind of higher end Sprouts, different places like that. Walk in and meet with the manager. Say, hey, I'd like to run a workout in your parking lot 5:30 a.m. before you guys even open up. And then afterwards, me and my clients are going to come in and have a cup of coffee at your barista. You're going to patronize their store in exchange for letting them use it. Plus, you're going to say, hey, it's going to be free advertising for you because I'm going to post on my Instagram. Hey guys, we're meeting at the Sprouts parking lot Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings at 5:30 a.m. Same thing goes with churches. A lot of times they'll ask for a yearly contribution. I spend $200 a year to use a parking lot of a church on Monday, Wednesday evenings. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. I don't think you can be a good old-fashioned handshake and contract.
Chris?
Yeah. So by the way, it makes me want to move to Dallas, Amy, because when you said a 90-10 revenue split, when we looked at the revenue split opportunity with the park that we launched this pilot location in, it was much more unfavorable to do it that way. So we actually went with the rental system, and you'll see, as we did research, because they want to launch the brand worldwide. So we're doing a lot of brand stuff. It varies, as Amy said. I mean, there are certain states that say, yeah, use it. You get a permit, it's free, just use it, right? Other places, they say you literally cannot use this whatsoever, no matter what you pay. Some places will price you out. So it's up to you when you build your business model and you create your pro forma that you work that in and see what actually makes sense for you. We did it more on the rentals, but I will tell you, even this park said, wow, we've never done this before. So I guess we'll do it like a field rental, but you can't use a field. You'll use this other area. But the importance of getting a permit is because you'll obviously get in trouble if you don't have one. And God forbid you start to build a following. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, by the way, good following, we can't be here because we didn't have a permit. And then from a legal aspect, if something were to go wrong or someone to get hurt, that's just another thing to throw at you that you weren't even permitted to be there. And thirdly, if somebody else goes to use that space and you have a permit, you can say, hey, flag football team or soccer team, I'm sorry, but this is our time from here, from now to there where we run our business. So, the permitting process is hugely important. Truthfully, I think as we help grow this brand, to Amy's point, I think it's going to be about finding creative utilizations. And I love the parking lot idea, finding churches and other areas that make it much more cost effective, because have been a bunch of parks that we've looked at. We're like, you know what, man, I might as well have a brick and mortar with what you guys want to charge for that.
Interesting.
One thing I'll note about AM locations versus PM locations, I steer clear of grass before 9 a.m. And the reason why is it's dewy and sprinkler systems come on. So anything before 9 a.m., I prefer concrete, sport courts, or something at a park that has a cement concrete area so that they don't get wet and muddy. Sprinkler systems have been known to come on and spray everybody down. And then evening locations, that's where you want to stay off pavement. You want the grass, you want the cooler spaces, because if you're in California, Texas, Alabama, somewhere where it gets really hot, that concrete can fry an egg in the middle of the summer. So just really taking a look and actually going out to your location, putting your hands down on the ground at the time of day that you want to run that workout will really give you a good idea of, is this going to be an appropriate space for me to train my clients?
I love that. Doris, do you want to add anything?
My biggest concern is always liability, actually. And so you guys already talked about the permits, but my outside stuff is mostly personal training or large run groups, and they're usually backed by big organizations. But my big concern is when you are doing running routes. and you're dealing with 5Ks and 10Ks and half marathons and multiple people, and you have the proper staffing, the lead, the Sherpa, the in-between, you have, my biggest fear when I would do those run clubs, honestly, is I would give them, here's what we expect. Do not expect the cars to stop. Always look to your left. When it's yellow, you stop. All these rules that you all have to ingrain in their head, and having proper run routes that are spelled out with maps that are signed off by legal, that are signed off by the organization. That's my biggest concern. The outside factors. I worry about traffic a lot. That would be my biggest concern.
Chris?
To Amy's point about choosing locations as well, shop it, right? If you might look at a park and think this place is great until you realize there's no bathrooms, or you realize there's not enough parking, or I want to run a 6 a.m. class and there's no lighting. So go at the times when you think you're going to be teaching classes. Make sure that park is a good fit. Make sure that all those things are in place. And then not to scare everyone to death, but the same thing Doris was saying, make sure that you got to be concerned about liability. Make sure you have the correct kind of insurance, that it covers outdoor, fitness training. Make sure you have proper waivers that are signed. Because people, if something goes wrong, especially here in California, which is a super litigious area, anything you miss is going to be just an opening for an attorney. So, and Sarah's not here.
And that's kind of our next thing is so we keep saying liability insurance and we keep saying waivers and all that good stuff. And this is really important, especially with taking them outside, because it is something that we can't control the ground and everything else going on around them. So liability insurance, who do you guys like to suggest for that, and what kind of waivers do you use? I know SCW has a waiver that I try to have Chris put into the chat as well that you guys can download. Amy, who do you like for liability? And it's not as expensive, you guys, as you would think, depending on what coverage you want, and then the roster and all that's very important. Amy?
So I utilize a personal training insurance through the National Academy of Sports Medicine, which is what my primary CPT is through. I also have an ISSA certification, and then I don't have to actually worry about any of that unless I'm doing one-on-one training. Being a franchise owner or a contracted trainer with Camp Gladiator, we, the company, and I represent Camp Gladiator, the company, we provide a $4 million umbrella liability insurance policy that lists every single location that we offer in the United States, including our homes. And the reason why our homes are added on is with the addition of virtual training. Paula's drinking too. Thank you, Paula. With the addition of virtual training in March of 2020, all the trainers came home and set up a virtual setup, but we would ask our close clients or our friends and family to come over and demo for us while we trained. So we had to insure all the trainers in their home as well. So any location that is listed on the Camp Gladiator website or a virtual location that we offer, the trainer is covered on behalf of the company for a $50 expense per year. It's very affordable. Now, I know our insurance policy is very expensive because it covers 1,000 trainers and 4,500 locations, but because we are added onto that. And I will say, back in 2011, we were sued by a client that tripped in a pothole and broke his leg. It was a fluke accident. It was not something anybody could have prevented. And he sued the city of Dallas. He sued the park. He sued the apartment complex next door. He was so happy, as Chris said. And luckily, our insurance company swooped in. They handled it. I was never even contacted. So it was really, really lucky. And make sure you do have that great insurance or partner, like Doris said, with a larger organization that is going to provide that insurance with you listed on it.
Chris?
Yeah, and there's plenty of insurance brokers out there as well. And it was interesting. All three of you, it's not that expensive. It's the one thing in fitness that's not that expensive. So it's worth having. Again, you just got to make sure that you're covered. In addition to that, CPR certified, first aid certified, because you're outdoors and you're responsible. It's not, I don't know that it's required in every state, but having an AED, it's a little bit pricey, but it lasts forever. But not only will that, if God forbid anything ever happened during your locations, AEDs save lives, or you're outdoors. You don't know that somebody's not walking their dog going down the street and drops. So I highly recommend, in addition to the proper insurance, permitting and all that, do the right thing. Make sure that your first aid, CPR, have an AED, that all that's in place, because that's just the right thing to do.
Doris?
I wanted to address Lindy's question in the chat. She said, my home my actual home is not covered under my liability. Lindy, one thing to look into, and I don't know where you live, but my LLC that I own to own my franchise, which is Mack Consulting, my consulting group, I actually list my home as my business address, which actually with my insurance, because I can list my home as my business of my LLC and consulting, my swimming pool and garage are covered under my personal CPT insurance as well. Might be something to look into to kind of see if you and your attorney can swap those things around to be listed.
Awesome. Doris?
What you might not know is when I graduated from college in 1989, the fitness industry was not as robust and there was not a lot of opportunities. So I was actually in insurance. I was a P&C, property and casualty broker. And let me just tell you something. I do not give advice on insurance because that in itself is a liability. The states are different. What you do is different. Even if you say, well, I have insurance, I'm covered. Are you really covered for virtual? Because if someone trips over their cat in their living room while you're doing a workout, 9 times out of 10, there's a chance that insurance policy was not written considering COVID. And so my advice to anybody is to read your policy, make sure you understand exactly what your plan is. I personal train, I'll own that, I got that. Big groups, no. Another organization, I'm being covered under umbrella, I'm gonna have secondary insurance, I'm gonna be named as an additional insured. Like I know all the terms and the jargon, but the reality is make sure you're really clear on what your business plan is. And then make sure that the policy fits, and every state is different. And the person you think that will not sue you is most likely the person that will sue you. So just be careful and don't make assumptions.
Love that. Chris?
That's a super important point, Doris, that you just made, and use someone who has real fitness experience, because it's not just a general insurance person. You want to find somebody that doesn't say they have fitness experience. Make sure you check references, people that they've worked with before, but make sure that it truly is somebody who understands fitness and is current with it.
Perfect. So getting back to the roster, do you guys just show up with a piece of paper with the stuff written on the top and have them sign it through? Do you send them to them before they work out? How do you guys handle your waiver of liability? All that good stuff. Chris? How are you doing with that new company of yours?
So all digital. We don't accept any cash. Everything is done through an app. Waiver, from booking sessions to paying for everything to cancel. Every single thing is done through that app. And I think it's just logistically it's hard enough to do paper inside, but you got to have a digital solution. And understand, if you're presenting an outdoor experience, an outdoor solution as the provider, it's so much more professional. Right. And that's important in our industry. We fought during this pandemic to be considered essential. And I really believe that a lot of us, like anyone on this call, is obviously professional because you're here to learn and you're here to get better at what you do. But, there are a lot of people, you saw them in the park. I only want unmarked bills or Bitcoin. And then they put them in their sock afterward. It's all under the table nonsense. But as a professional looking to really grow a business, right, you've got to do it the right way. And the software allows you to track everything properly, print the reports you need to analyze your business to make better decisions. You just got to find a digital solution. There's so many great apps out there that do that for you. That has to happen. Then, it creates a professional environment. You also never have that person saying, but I bought 10, but I think I only used 7. I'm like, no, you booked 10 on the app and it's time to renew. So you have to and there's some inexpensive solutions with apps too, especially if you're just an individual, sole proprietor. You don't have to spend, $500,000 a month on a solution. There's a lot of great ones out there, but do it the right way in an efficient and effective way.
Doris?
I actually interview my clients. I sit them down and tell them my philosophy, and I interview them, and I interview their spouse, and I see their environment, and I see what's the probability of success. And with that, after we make an agreement that it's a fit, the first thing is that waiver of liability and a big fat deposit. And no special guest stars. Sorry. Like, it's me, it's you, let's go. I'm very black and white. I'm very much to the point. And I've had clients for over 17 years, and I always have a retainer always floating in my bank account.
Perfect. Amy?
Everything we do is digital. We have an app that our clients use. We have an app on the back end for the trainers to use. We partner with a much larger CRM, Salesforce, so everything is funneled through that. I always like to say, we confirm the payment for 6, 12, and 24 months. So you can try Camp Gladiator for free for a week. You get a 1-week pass, and then you got to make a decision. Do you want to be a 6-month member, 12-month member, or 24-month member? Because we don't believe fitness is a 1-week kind of thing. We want you to say you want results. It's going to take 6 months to get you there, whether it's weight loss, muscle gain, whatever you're looking at. And so we always want to guarantee that. And they go on a subscription-based or gymnasium model where every single month they are charged accordingly on what their plan is. And I always say for every 24-month membership, we just guarantee 2 years of income per trainer, which is incredible.
That's great. So you booked your class, Chris, and it rains. What do you do?
Well, so part of that, and really quickly, I just want to touch on what Amy said about payments. First of all, I love that because, you can't have any significant change without committing to a certain period of time. So don't feel bad about selling bigger packages. Plus, you're a trainer. You don't want to have to resell them super often, right? So I think it's a really good point. The other point really quickly too is charge what you're worth. I think a lot of people are like, hey, the overhead's lower, I'm outdoors, I'm going to charge less. You're selling your expertise. So if your expertise is not good, then please don't charge so much. But if your expertise is at a high level and you're creating an amazing outdoor experience or virtual experience or whatever, you don't discount because you're virtual or because you're outdoors. You're selling expertise. You're not selling a brick and mortar facility. So never forget that. So with us, and by the way, we're so immature in helping this brand develop, and it never rains in Southern California. So we don't really have, no, I'm just kidding. It actually rained the other day. So part of as you market the program, and it depends, it's probably fairly similar to Camp Gladiator. Oh, does that count? Okay. But it's probably fairly similar where weather is part of the experience. Getting a little dirty is part of the experience. Getting in the grass is part of the experience. Now, when you hit extreme situations, right, then we go to virtual. We've got a virtual setup. And the one thing I will say about that is that also has to be a virtual experience. It can't be like, usually we have this great outdoor experience, but it was a big fire here and the weather, air quality is so bad, and that happens in Southern California, nobody can go outside. The pivot to virtual is not all of a sudden me going, okay, unmuted. You guys can see me now. Okay, everyone burpee. We've got the setup we've got the turf laid on the floor. We've got the banners. We've got the proper lighting, the good sound, the proper cameras. It has to, be seamless. And I will tell you, the British brand where this originated did a great job during the pandemic of simply going, when they were locked down really long in the UK, they simply said, hey, class next week will be on Zoom. So they were one of the few brands, over there that actually sold new memberships all throughout the pandemic and did a great job. But it's simply an assumptive, have that plan B. I think probably to what Amy was saying earlier, we'll explore alternate opportunities. Like you look for the dance studio who doesn't have anything in the early morning for your early morning classes, or churches or wherever. But that'll be something as we get deeper into the brand, we'll explore. But you got to have a plan B, because there are going to be times that no matter what people are willing to put up with, that you have to have an alternative. I will tell you, when we first talked to this brand, I said, what about bad weather? And they're like, we're in the UK. We never have good weather. And I was like, that's a really good point.
That's great. Amy, how do you guys handle that?
We definitely partner with indoor locations, or we just gut it out. So we never cancel, rain, sleet, snow, or shine. But what we do is leave it up to individual franchise owners to make safety decisions that best fit their location. So for example, when a hurricane hits Tampa, we aren't telling those Tampa trainers, you gotta train, but Sarasota might not be getting hit and Tampa might be. So the Sarasota franchise owner can say, I'm going to go and run my workouts outdoors, maybe under a pavilion. And the Tampa trainers can say, everybody's going to be virtual this week. We do the same thing Chris said. If you're from Texas, you remember Snowmageddon 2021 back in February. If y'all heard about us and you made fun of us because we froze for a week, that was true. And so bad that most of the Texas trainers also lost power. So it was a massive initiative. Our outside of Texas trainers all rallied and taught our virtual classes for us. I didn't even have internet. So my Atlanta trainer, Roger, and I made a partnership and said, hey, if you run all my virtual classes this week, in the future, when you go on vacation, I'll run all your virtual classes. So we just did a massive nationwide swap out of virtual, and our outside cities, our Floridas, our Georgias, South and North Carolinas really rallied and helped the Texas team out that week that we froze to death almost.
Amy, that's awesome. What is the thing, the logo behind you?
That's my Camp Gladiator logo.
I was just thirsty.
Oh, you just were thirsty, Chris. Oh, wait. How much are y'all going to freak out when you see this? I have it tattooed on my wrist. What?
That doesn't surprise me one iota. Doris, question. What kind of equipment do you like to use or not like to use on your outdoor trainings?
Well, I love stadiums. I love beach stairs. I love steep hills for hill repeats. I love big hikes. I very rarely use equipment. This is where it's really important to be an educated trainer. You know, at the end of the day, a squat is a squat is a squat. We just put a bunch of different things around it. But I love benches, picnic benches, curbs for calf raises. So I would say I just love the environment. The sand, oh my gosh, amazing. Like I train very little equipment actually, to be honest with you. But if I want to go there, I love to use a jump rope, which is an easy, light piece of equipment for a big cardio hit. I like to use bands, strong tubing bands. I love to do a good morning with a big, thick band to warm people up. I like to do, let's see, BOSU, of course. BOSU is so easy. You can throw that in my car. I mean, yes, I'm sponsored by them, so product placement. But I have to say, like, BOSU is a good piece of equipment. But I just think about the lightest things. But the reality is, that's part of the experience, as Chris was talking about. Like, that's the experience and that's the fun. And I can put you on a set of stairs and destroy you. I mean, inspire you for 60 minutes, doing all different types of moves, and you will not walk for days, and you'll get to see the ocean, and you'll be coming back for more. So give me a good flight of stairs on.
Amy, what does Camp Gladiator like to use for equipment or not like to use?
I didn't say it, so y'all don't have to drink. We ask all of our clients upon registration to bring out a yoga mat or a beach towel, as well as a set of hand weights that are appropriate for their strength level, sizes 5s all the way up to 45s. You kind of pinpoint what you feel good with. We always encourage them to move up as we watch them progress. And then the trainer is responsible for any equipment. In my garage right now, I have fire hoses, I have ropes, I have Hyperwear sand bells. I'm sponsored by them, so I'll throw that in. I have rucksacks, I have bear crawl bags, I have jump ropes, but my best piece of equipment are 20 flat disc cones. They are amazing. They create stations, they create agility, they create reaction, they create sprint to that point and come back. They create carry, farmer carries. To me, 20 cones and a set of dumbbells are literally all you ever, and your body weight, are all you ever need. And I ran my entire business for the first 2 years with cones and dumbbells. That's kind of the key. That's the key for me, are those two things. Plus what Doris was saying, a good pair of monkey bars, some curbs, any kind of stairs, park picnic benches, any of those things are also going to be huge.
Chris?
Yeah, I love what Doris said about the outdoors, because I think that's your outdoors. Use it, and you can do so many different things. Everybody on here is very educated and understands how to train. So get as creative as possible. And then again, anything that's durable, waterproof, that you don't mind taking outdoors, that's sort of key. And then one thing to think about, and Amy kind of touched on it with having people bring their own stuff. There's nothing wrong, depending on the scale of what you're doing, partnering with a local fitness store, having them put a package together and saying, great, when you sign up, please go to this store, pick up kit A, and then they buy that, and that's an extra revenue stream for yourself as well. So you can get those kits, they can bring it and they can come in, or you can just go to the Camp Gladiator website and they're available.
Love it. Don't forget also Sunblock, guys. If you're training, Sunblock's important with people.
Bug spray,
especially in Texas.
Yeah. And don't forget also, when you're designing your formats, if you're doing like Amy had said, like a parking lot workout, you're not going to do a lot of like abdominal work because it's just going to be too hard on their spines with mats and whatever. So just logistically think about that. A lot of the pavements are going to maybe be on an incline or decline, which you can use to your advantage. I almost wanted to design a gym floor because I was teaching so much on incline declines that the floor could move, because I found that the dorsiflexion, plantar flexion with push-ups and burpees was amazing with just the angle of the floor. So I think just be aware of that, Chris.
Just, I think I can't remember if you said sunglasses or sunscreen, but one thing to make sure you do too, so that they have a great experience, because it is different outdoors. You've got to have a very systematic communication system for what people are going to expect. So, depending on the weather, you say, hey, when it's warm, bring a hat if you feel comfortable, bug spray, sunscreen. When it's cold, make sure that you layer. You will warm up throughout the workout, so bring a little drawstring bag so if the sweatshirt comes off, you've got a place to put it. But you want to prepare people for that, because there's nothing worse than, and oftentimes your member, your customer doesn't exactly know what they're getting into. So they may show up, in the morning at a 6 a.m. class, and it does get cold here in California. They'll drop down to 30, 40 degrees. And they come in their little gym shorts and a tank top, and they're like, this is the worst experience that I've ever had. Or vice versa. They come in the full on sweatsuit at, noon in July, and they're like, this is horrible. So a very standard communication system to get the most out of this great outdoor experience. Here are the following tips.
Got it. Now, believe it or not, we only have 5 minutes left. So I've got to hit this last question because it's the most important one now. So you've got the location, you've got the class, you've got the right equipment, you've got your masses. How do you market this and manage to get the people to know you're doing this outside, especially for my newbies, my people that have maybe even started this before? Who wants to start with that one? Doris, go ahead, babe.
I always get stopped when I'm training a client on the stairs and they're seeing that I'm doing like different things, when I'm doing burpees or knee drives on a wall, when they're doing sprints in the sand, and they see me in action, and they ask. And so from a PT standpoint, that's a no-brainer. The other piece is when you're doing fundraising and large run club groups, that's when you have big organizations that come in and handle the marketing, because that is a beast, and that is not my specialty, and I don't want it to be my specialty. My job is to get people across the line, raising money and raising awareness for causes.
I love that. Chris?
So obviously, when you have a brick and mortar, people can knock on your door. So do the best to do something to make your outdoor experience similar to something that seems permanent, even if it's not. So A-frame signs, a big flag. With the BMF brand, they've got vans and they've got trailers that show up where you can flap down, all the equipment comes out. So when people park in the same spot, set it up the same way so that it feels like a permanent thing, so that when people walk by or drive by, they say, wow, this is something serious going on. If they look over and it's just a group doing something in the middle of a park, that's not nearly as intriguing. It doesn't feel permanent. It doesn't feel like a real brand, right? So that's key. Have collateral on you to pass out to anybody that comes by. But as we know, you can hand out 1 million flyers or postcards, and the odds of somebody actually following up are low. So if you can figure out a way to gather people's data. So if somebody goes, what are you guys doing? Say, real quick, hey, let me grab your name and email, or here, enter it into this, or pull up this app. Then you have the chance to get them to your follow-up system. So that's key. And then, you always want to do your traditional marketing, whether that's, flyers and social media and paid social and all those different things. But one kind of final note is, no matter what your brand is, and we all run great brands, convenience is always key, right? So what I recommend is you look at where you're going to be located and doing this outdoor thing, and then look at the reasonable radius with people walking or driving. Remember, you get walk traffic when you're outdoors, and then just massively attack those homes, whether, again, it's paid social, focus on that area, or simply go and flyer all those houses, hang door hangers. But convenience is key. No matter how great a brand is, the more convenient it is. So really target the people right around that park.
My beautiful Amy, tell them.
We have flags, table covers, shirts, hats, bats, dumbbells, all the things that say Camp Gladiator on them. Actually, we're moving to where CG is just our brand now. But all the things that Chris just said, and I will say, start with your warm market. Start with your friend. If your first clients out of your workouts aren't your best friends, your dog, your mom, your aunt, your brother-in-law, and Mrs. Jones who lives across the street, like if that's not your first 18 people out at your workout, you've missed the boat. They may never become paying members, but they're going to show up. And I always ask my trainers, would you rather have one client paying $125 a month, or 100 clients paying $0 a month for that first month. You want 100 people paying $0. And the reason why is because those people will love you so much over that first week that they will then buy into your system. And everybody knows that it is more fun in a crowd. I will tell you, when those nights that it is really cold in Texas and only 3 people show up, it is not as much fun as it was last night when it was 78 degrees and 45 people showed up. It's just a different experience. And so my encouragement is find a company like what Chris is offering, what CG is offering. I always say partnering with someone who does it as well, if not better than you do, who can help you with the systems that you need help with, is always, always, always an opportunity for you guys to check out. We are bringing on amazing trainers across the US, and I'd love to chat with all of you. I'm sure Chris would too. Chris, maybe we should meet, talk about a little collab situation perhaps.
For sure.
And then, yeah, I would love to see each and every one of you dip your toe in the water of some outdoor training. It's fun. I always say my job is to play in a field in my pajamas. There's nothing better than that.
On that note, I'm going to have everybody put in how they can get a hold of them. I know Chris just did, but go ahead and put in your information as well. You guys, what an amazing night. I don't know about you guys. I got great ideas. I want to thank my Doris. I want to thank Chris. I want to thank Amy for being here tonight and being so nice and answering all these good questions. You guys basically just get outside. Get outside and try it. Social media, tell them when you're there, let them know when you're going to be there, make that following happen. It's easier than you think. And I just want to say thanks to everybody. We hope to see you at a Mania when we come to you. Take care, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, guys. Bye.